And welcome everyone to the Meta HSE League week number 7, where teams are going to be battling it out for what are going to be really important games. But before we get too much into that, I think it's time to introduce ourselves and of course the teams playing in our first game of the day. My name is Midnight, joined by Hedgie for our first game of the night. As you can see on our screens, Hedgie, we've got a little bit of weirdness going on already in the New South Wales, ACT, and Queensland area. Kingsgrove North High School is on the left. I think they're a bit known as the Panda Republic, although it's a bit more of an empire, given there's 4 of them now. Facing up against them is going to be Baulkham Hills High School. Now, what is, I think, really important to remember coming into this game is both these teams are sitting on a 4-2 record. So, and with a couple weeks until the end of the season, every win here is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Every game, very crucial as we head towards those finals. Only a few weeks left, and it's just saying that the Panda Republic, they've got 4 pandas and a wolf. So, as a person studying zoology, such as myself, I'm very confused at the zoological means behind that. I don't know why a wolf and 4 pandas are together. Just absolutely unacceptable. I have no idea what that is, but we'll have to see how it actually goes out on the Rift. I hope they do pick some panda themed champion, maybe a volley bear, with a panda skin or something. That they can introduce that into the game. Maybe some Warwicks as well throwing around. But it is support, so that might be might not be an option.
Might be a little hard there. Well, their first lock-in is going to be the Ezreal, a nice safe AD carry. I want to quickly just look at the bans. The bans are quite all over the place, but quite, a lot of different champions. But look where they're all focused. The mid laners are being squeezed to an inch of their life. And I'm really curious, what are the backup mid laners? Do they have a Syndra or an Oceania in their wheelhouse? We know they're quite strong champions, but is that within these players' wheelhouse? We'll have to find out. Oh my lord, Urgot and Diana grabbed up early here for the side of Baulkham.
Yeah, very aggressive picks coming out, and 3 mid laners banned from Panda, and Ogday also banning 2 mid laners, so clearly a target at Panda number, I'm going to call him Panda number 3, going from top to bottom. It's going to be getting a few champions that he'd like to play banned out as well, but a lot of mid lane bans usually just means they're trying to take away some comfort picks, trying to take away some of the champions from those mid laners who are possibly, anyway, the strongest members on those teams with the ban focus. But Olaf going to be taken along with this Ezreal, both quite good with that survivability in these team fights. But Diana going to be an interesting matchup into the Olaf. I actually haven't seen Olaf in a while as well, so I don't actually know how well of a matchup it is, just because Diana has been kind of a recent jungle pick last 3-4 weeks. Whereas Olaf has been kind of a consistent pick, but hasn't been picked too much over the recent weeks in pro play, high-end play, and in these tournaments. We'll have to see how it goes, though.
Yeah, the Olaf always worries me, though, Hedgie, because every time I see an Olaf, I remember that Olaf is the king for the first maybe 15 minutes of the game, and then he becomes a cannon minion with an axe. So I really want to see Kingsgrove's jungler here being aggressive on this Olaf nice and early, get that snowball going, because the reason why these AP junglers have done well is because they scale brilliantly. Morgana, Rumble, Diana scale really well. So, Panda 2, it is up for you to do really well here, as we have hit the second round of bans. The Syndra, unsurprisingly, getting caught by there, but we do see one of the mid laners. They were able to grab themselves a Silas, which I personally adore. I think he's just ridiculously strong.
Yeah, very good, and have to see what match is into as well. Sorry, does have some interesting ultimates already. Can slam with that set hold. Can use the unstoppable on that Olaf ult already to provide a bit of that utility. But Alistair going to be banned away now, so going off the mid laners, but Rakan as well. So a few supports. Both supports have not been picked yet, so not surprising to see a few support bans coming up, and now the Tristana as well. Bans away from Ogday, a very good pick, and not too bad into Ezreal. Probably almost has a scaling advantage. That would be an interesting question to tackle. But Vayne coming in this bot lane, that is one that I actually like to see against the Ezreal.
I can say safe from it, but I'm getting a little worried about a lack of range coming in here from Baulkham. Vayne short range, Diana, Silas, and Urgot are all melee or short range champions, and the support needs to be something with a lot of engage, as a Cassiopeia is locked in for that mid lane. I haven't seen a Cassio in forever. but I'm really excited to see how it goes on the Summoner's Rift today.
Yeah, definitely coming in here, and as you were saying, they lack range. Well, Cassiopeia, Ezreal, and Lulu all go really, really well into that theme, where they can outrange, they can poke, they can provide a lot of that extra healing and damage, just to kind of last the burst from those melee champions. And if they're able to kite that back, it's going to be really, really hard in those late game team fights. If we do get there, although they have a Vayne, you'd expect them to outscale, but just because of the range advantage that they do have with those three champions, they definitely have a chance to actually kite them out and have a really good time in those team fights. But we'll have to say how it does play out on the Rift, because at different stages of the game it will work drastically differently. But we will see their last picks going to Pantheon. Jesus, all right, a bit aggressive coming in that bot lane with the Pantheon pick. I've not seen that one in a while as well. So a lot of fresh picks, or kind of return picks, actually coming out from both teams.
I haven't seen Pantheon in a support position since there was that phase, like, what was it, like a couple months ago, maybe a year or so ago, where Pantheon support was just all of the rage. It just came out of nowhere. It didn't scale very well, but its entire identity was find someone in lane, kill someone in lane. And you pair it up with a Vayne, it can work really, really well. But of all things to lock in a Pantheon into, you're going into a Lulu Ezreal. Now, I dislike Ezreal Lulu together. I think Lulu just does not work well with an Ezreal, because Lulu's specialized for hyper carries, Ezreal is not a hyper carry, but there is a saving grace. Second Pantheon goes into a jump is done, you polymorph him. And then suddenly you got a cute little cupcake running down the Summoner's Rift going, what do I do? I've used my one ability. Like, I've got nothing else.
Absolutely. So they do just have the Vayne for range as well. I mean, you were talking about it earlier. They have a lot of melee champions, and they've added to that with the Pantheon. So when you get to the late game stage, it's going to be Vayne against the world, trying to take down everyone. She doesn't really have any tanks to shred through, so her passive's actually kind of taken away in value. Ezreal doesn't have a lot of squishy champions on the enemy team either. Urgot, the only real pseudo tank, so he's going to really, really shred late game with those Qs. Cassiopeia, obviously, very, very good kind of hyper carry almost in the late game, kind of a mage hyper carry. It's very weird how she works with her Q&E, and then the Lulu to buff them up and to kite them back should be quite strong. But we'll have to get to that stage to see those sort of champions in their full force. So if the Sylas, if the Diana, if the Urgot can get those early game advantages, and Pantheon does enhance that as well, it will be really tough for Panda Republic to play the game with those early game kind of pick champions, and the burst that they do is going to be really, really good in those mid game team fights as well.
Yeah, but there is still signs of life for Panda Republic in the early game, because we talked about it earlier. Olaf, he is dominant in the early game, so it feels to me at least that Kingsgrove entire battle plan is let Olaf do Olaf things in the early game, let Cassiopeia just survive the mid game, survive to the mid game, get her 2-3 items, get online, and then we can start seeing objectives. So I feel like for Kingsgrove, it's going to be a relatively passive game. Like, you don't want to... I don't think Set beats Urgot, because Urgot just, shotgun knees. Cassiopeia struggles without her items, and Ezreal likes to sort of sit back and hide behind whatever bit of debris he can find. So, at least my eyes are going to be on Olaf with the Panda number 2 in there. Now, we know what they have to do. Baulkham High School. So, where are we going to look for the pressure? Is this going to be pretty much looking at all three lanes and saying, okay, how much can they bully their opponents out before we hit the mid game? Is that kind of what's coming in here?
Yeah, I mean, Olaf's the only real champion that wins his individual matchup 100%, so he's going to have to play that really well. He's going to have to try to trade camps across from Diana, maybe build up a disadvantage for himself, or just try and negate what Diana actually does. And a lot of the time that's coming with the counter ganks, not even to actually gank in the 3v3 unless it's a situation that does kind of arise where you can do that, but just to kind of put her off actually ganking and provide that pressure. And if he gets a lead himself, it also does become hard for Diana to gank if she doesn't know where Olaf is, because Olaf can come in for a counter gank and they can really turn the 2v2. And Olaf's very good at that as a champion as well. So countering those ganks, stopping the other pressure, not getting too down in those objectives and across the lanes, and that should be the game plan for Panda Republic as they head into this one.
Well, we are diving into our game here, guys. And remember, both these teams are sitting on 4 wins and 2 losses. A victory here gives them that next step forward to hit finals in only a couple weeks, guys. So these are super important games. All 3 games, but let's focus on game number 1 for now. And speaking of that, guys, we will be going to a short break. But when we come back, we will be hitting Summoner's Rift between Kingsgrove North High School and Baulkham Hills High School. And we have hit Summoner's Rift here between Kingsgrove North and Baulkham Hill High School. And again, as I said, coming into this game, it is really important that both these teams get the victory here. And we are seeing some cheekiness coming out of Kingsgrove here. I'm not sure it's the prelude to an invade, but it's definitely the prelude to, in case someone comes for an invade on them, it's an immediate collapse.
It's a really weird spot to stand when you don't have a hook, but they're just having fun. They're throwing down emotes. I like the start. The start of these games. I wish they were walking into the river and starting to dance though. That would be the real treat. But I'm just gonna chill there. Probably going to have the Diana starting at the red buff and Olaf doing the same as well by the looks of things. No particular early vision. The only rewards placed down are the wards in each river, which aren't super useful, to be honest, if they're placed now, because they're going to expire by the time the scuttles come up, really. So a bit interesting there, but yeah, I think they'll just both be starting their individual red buffs.
Yeah, I think it is just in case Project Ninja on this Diana decides to go for a blue buff steal and make it horizontal jungling. Then it's probably useful, but I wouldn't expect anything like that, honestly. I think it's going to be just pretty chill in the early game for the side of the Baulkham jungler, because they've got dominant lanes, which means you can farm up a storm, you can get to your more relevant points here, and you can look for some early ganks. And I think the bot lane is a place where Project should be looking. You've got phenomenal engage potential out of Zephyr on your support, and start that fight relatively easily. Double press the attack and ready to go for it. Should give you all the room in the world that you need to work with here. But for now, not level 2, a lack of range. We are seeing the Pantheon and the Vayne getting poked out a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to see. Can Ezreal and Lulu actually just poke the Vayne and the Pantheon out of this lane, and can Diana actually get there before that actually becomes a problem? So that will be interesting to see what they do. They're going to get level 2. It's not going to be too much. They're just going to get a bit of poke down. Diana is pathing towards that bot lane. There is a ward in the tri-bush there, but there isn't really a ward set up to prevent a gank from happening, so she could look for her in the next, say, 30 to 40 seconds potentially. But other than that, the other lane's looking relatively normal. Cassiopeia is going to shove those first few waves in the ranged melee matchup. Doesn't have this one in though, so that is also a potential gank.
Zephyr! That's ambitious, mate. Flash into safety. That was not the best decision there. You can't fight a massive minion wave like that, as top lane Panda does, get hurt, but does it just equally. Back now, Project is in the bottom half farming the Scuttle Crab. I think it would be a really good decision to come bot lane. The wave is crashing. There is no vision coming from Wolfie and Panda in this bottom lane. You could get a phenomenal gank here if you're willing to look for it.
Yeah, you could have also probably gone mid before they did. Project Ninja did this Scuttle Crab. Even the wave wasn't crashed actually in that one as well. Cassiopeia had to try to shove that in, or she's in trouble. So didn't elect to go for the gank though, trying to go for the Scuttle, and Olaf now just gets to do the Scuttle and take it really with the pressure. 2 shoving lanes. She didn't go for the early gank that she could have had, and gets punished for it.
That's a bit of a disaster for Project, honestly. Getting double scuttled hurts, and the roam coming in from the mid Panda here on the Cassiopeia was, well, it's a courtesy. Now they get his double scuttle crab. Now there's a massive lead for the Olaf, which we talked about it. Olaf needs these kind of leads, honestly. If you're not going to get an aggressive Olaf start, Olaf maybe isn't the best champion to lock in, but double scuttle, massive lead already. Has the pickaxe in their inventory. It's a phenomenal place for the jungler of Kingsgrove North to be in right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think the concept of hesitation, which isn't really talked about too heavily in League, really came in there. Didn't go for either gank, hesitated on the Scuttle, and didn't even really start the Scuttle when she probably could have, or he probably could have as well. So didn't really make any decision, and sometimes, even if it's a bad decision, just not hesitating at all and going for it straight away is the better thing to do, because then the enemy team isn't really ready for you, and you're committing to something at least. So, didn't really pick any, and ends up not being able to get anything at all in terms of a gank or the Scuttle Crab, so is going to leave them in a bit of a deficit, 500 gold. Not too much to worry about though, only a few camps down, can still beat.
Oh my lord, demolition coming through there in the bottom lane, and we're seeing the problem with range versus melee in the bottom lane there, Zeph.
Yeah.
They didn't get level 2 first, they got pushed onto the turret, they got poked out, and now when they're trying to recover situations, unfortunately, it's simply far too little, far too late. You needed to basically already have a kill at this point, which, well, you just don't.
Yeah, this is really worrying for me. Ezreal having such a big advantage. Really, really bad for Edison and Zephyr in this bot lane. Olaf's going to be able to take a free dragon as well. They've got so much control across the bot lane, and Cassiopeia as well shoving in these waves is going to be having all this river control. First dragon's going down. If this continues, definitely the second as well. And I mean, if you look to the scaling, they do have the Vayne. They do have that for the late game potential, and there's plenty of time to get leads, maybe in the top lane, maybe somewhere else, but they are really, really struggling already. And there's some early danger sides. It's already a already a 1.5k gold lead 6 minutes into the game. They really, really need to rectify this.
Yeah, and that came from a combination of the successful double scuttle in the jungle, which does have, only a 200 gold lead, but it's still something. There's a gauge in the bottom lane. There's Zephyr trying to find something, but there's just not enough damage. The Vayne cannot accompany an early game damage like a Pantheon, and now we're seeing Panda just flash in and pick up the kill there. This is a disaster for the bottom lane here. Panda's gonna live. He doesn't give a damn. He's gonna continue fighting on the Ezreal. The Lulu's doing work. But this is a bigger and bigger problem. The Pantheon wants to fight, the Vayne wants to farm, neither of them can get away with it, and they both end up dying.
Yeah, really well played mechanically by Ezreal. He knew his limits there, he knew he could flash in, he knew he could go for the play. The Lulu backing him up quite nicely, seemed to have some good synergy. I didn't think, a panda and a wolf would go together that well. I didn't think they were two very compatible animals, but they're proving me wrong here, so... I don't know what I can do, I've studied duology, I've done all this work, and I still can't figure this stuff out.
I mean, the last time I saw a panda and a wolf together was Kung Fu Panda, and they just they destroyed a small town or something. So, good to see they're working together for once. This is basically I want to say it's the sequel of Kung Fu Panda, but I'm pretty sure there is 3 Kung Fu Panda movies, and I'll be honest, I don't know what happens in them, because obviously didn't watch them. So, we're just going to say this is the 5th Kung Fu Panda movie in bot lane, and just sort of leave it there for that one. As the gold difference is already starting to spike, and this bottom lane wasn't meant to be a point of power, right? With the Pantheon, we were kind of thinking that it should be actually a kill lane for the side of Baulkham, but without the Vayne to actually have the damage output, the fact that they're getting poked down so often, they've now got a problem in the bottom lane, and the Olaf, with that double scuttle, doesn't need to stress nearly as much anymore, as we're seeing something topside. Set's in a bit of trouble there. Project is nearby, but yeah, simple flash, and Panda gets out without any problems.
Yeah, having to bow the flash there in top lane, so a bit of a good sign up there for Baulkham Hills, but still struggling a bit in this bot lane. Olaf almost potentially looking for a dive there, and yeah, with this Vayne pick, I mean, that's where it comes back to draft a bit as well. Trades in the mid lane of Ultimates, both mid laners popping them down, the Cassiopeia ult being traded across the board, and you look back to the draft, and even in a tournament like this, draft can just be so important when you pick Vayne with a...
Oh my god, they're gonna dive in! Zephyr first, a TP coming on the back, so this could be a pretty good TP, but the true shot Barrage cuts them down. But a lovely ultimate, get in my belly, boys! Jurgen coming down for the counter attack. A telegraph dive did not go according to plan.
Yeah, the TP really disrupted that. Diana coming down, just not really well timed, and I don't think they did really have the damage to pull that dive off. A bit of overkill, didn't really need to do that dive there. Could have just poked them under the turret and got them quite low in preparation for the next dragon, which will be coming up in about 2 minutes, I believe. So, chasing down this Ezreal now, though, with the ult.
Yeah, get all that in, and with Edison on top of them, there is no world you get out alive there. The flash from Project was a little unnecessary, but you gotta prove a point sometimes.
Yeah, double ulti there, and I believe the flash as well from Edison, yeah, so going to blow a lot, but they do get those kills, get a bit of gold back. Now 4-3, still the dragon advantage for the Panda Republic, but gold coming back into the pockets of Baulkham Hills. Getting a bit more of an advantage there, and yeah, not doing too badly at all, actually, now that we look at that, look at the few kills that they actually do pick up there. Kind of evening up the gold lead a bit more, is going to still be around that 1.5k mark, but with those kills they could potentially contest this dragon and actually not give it up, as they kind of take away the advantage that Ezreal and Lulu had for just a bit, but they are still kind of there in terms of the CS, so
yeah,
gonna be hard to see. Yeah.
And the gold value is still 500-ish in favor of the Ezreal, who almost has their first fully completed item, which is unsurprisingly going to be the Mythic. I'm going to take a bit of a gander here and say that is going to be the Divine Sunderer build. as opposed to... I know some people have been building like Duskblade again, like that old build that was around for a while, but
Yeah.
I think Divine Thunder, honestly, is just a really good item, especially with the amount of poke that they were able to get. Zephyr took a bit of a while to raise the shield, but did get it up in time. But right now, we need to see something out of Baulkham's jungler. They are just getting battered and abused in this bottom lane here. And if they choose to stay, I think it could just be another tower dive in a 2v2 scenario. It looks like they might be, because Ezreal's got the mobility up and available. It isn't going back under the tower, but will it matter? Coming through as they are running for the life here, but 1Q does it all. Damn, this Ezreal hits like a truck, and they don't even have a fully completed item yet. As Herald dropped topside as well. Pressure coming in from Kingsgrove.
Yeah,
oh my god, he's going in. Look at this bullying. He's just bullying the Urgot. Shotgun knees mean nothing to an angry Viking. As the Pantheon dives into the backline there, going onto the damage output, but I don't think it's going to matter. A 1-for-1 trade, a ballsy move from Zephyr, but when you're 0-2, you might as well give it a crack.
Yeah, Panda too doing really well on the Olaf there, taking up a kill on that Urgot, getting the Rift Herald, slamming out down in the top lane. Excuse me. Plays across the map, getting the turret top lane, also getting the dive done. Bot lane, they actually are going to pick up the Mountain Drake off the back of that Ezreal kill, but this massive advantage coming across now. For Panda Republic, getting a massive gold lead for this early in the game. I mean, 5k, very, very good early, and a Cloud Drake, so it kind of takes away the value of that Mountain Drake as well, being the worst soul in the game with that Cloud, so in a bit of trouble here.
Zephyr run, but you got Flash. You're going to need to burn Flash. You need to burn Flash, buddy! No, why are you going in? You can't outfight them! There are 4 of them! Kingsgrove lures Zephyr to his death right there. Oh my god, and there's a Trisha Barrage gonna get him! Oh, the flash coming in from TLS to get it alive.
Yeah, it's starting getting really bad, and this Pantheon's not having a fun time, alright? Like, he's just not going very well, and you can see all the champions on Baulkham Hills also kind of struggling, just with that range advantage on this Ezreal. And he's so safe as well with the E. It's really hard for them to actually engage on him and do anything in the first place. And then if you're not actually hitting him, you're not actually getting onto him because of that E. He's then just poking you down from range. He outranges every champion in the game, in this sense. So really, really hard to actually get onto him and do much right now. And you can see the power of the pick into multiple champions across the board, not just his lane opponent. Really, really showing up on this pick.
Petrifying Gaze does not land on enough. Got chomp, chomp, chomp. Hungry little Urgot there grabs second kill of the game. But that roam does come with a little bit of a cost there. Panda on the set did come to the bottom lane. They'll secure a turret. And they need to be a little careful because I'm sensing a flank coming through here, Hedgie.
Yeah, they are going to look for it. Urgot is actually not too bad in terms of strength, but no ultimate available is in trouble. Yeah.
Oh my god, run for it, Funky! He's gonna get out there. One more hit would do it, but not able to catch on to the back of that one. No punishment coming in there from Kingsgrove. They could not catch the angry Crabman.
I'm pretty sure Set could have held his E and then flash E'd the Urgot by just running at him with the Q, but does elect to just throw the E out and get the flash anyway, so not too bad. They're going to push this down. They're actually doing quite well to rotate multiple members onto these outer turrets and take them down. They're already taking the top and bot one down, and the mid one now does fall down. Just getting more gold into the pockets of this Ezreal. I mean, he's been there for almost every turret, 2 of 3. Now Pantheon.
Oh, this is a significant problem, I think we can call it, for the side of Bulk Hills, because they're not going to be able to stop Panda and Wolfie in this middle lane here, unless they commit multiple members. And while they're dealing with that, Cassiopeia is free farming in the bottom lane. Set, if he's not babysitting the Ezreal Lulu, is just going to be split pushing in the other lane. And you don't have enough resources as Bulk Hills to deal with all 3 lanes. There are too many fires and not enough fire extinguishers to go around Hedgie. So, like, what do you do in this sort of situation? Do you just commit hard to try and just kill the Ezreal, stop them, try and slow down this champion? Or do you just sort of just try to keep absorbing the punches, keep absorbing the battering that is going on right now?
Yeah, so you're down a lot right now, so you really need to look for picks. So for Cassiopeia or Ezreal or Lulu, if they do overposition at all, you really, really have to use your point and click CC that you do have in the Pantheon to try to leap on him, try to get a pick. if they're looking for vision, even if Olaf is doing this sort of thing where he's invading, if we collapse multiple members on him, try to get a pick, try to find people making mistakes and over-positioning. Because right now, I mean, it's not too hard to play it perfectly from Panda Republic and actually just close out the game. So you have to look for their mistakes. You have to look for them just being a bit too aggressive, just overextending that bit too much, and then leap and pounce and get those picks and slowly work your way back into the game.
Yeah, well, so far they're just surviving from the side here of Baulkham Hills, and they're doing well, but it looks like the Olaf is hungry for a dive, and you have to give this up. A tier 2 is not worth your lives in this situation. A really good call from Baulkham. Tier 2s are so easy to dive. They are so easy to position around them. I love position as project. Oh my lord, getting torn apart here. But they might overextend themselves. Vayne is lurking on the wings, and we know TLS is recalling.
Yeah, that would be the sort of play. They do have those low health bars, so probably not able to go for it, but where you would try to find that collapse. They had a bit of a 4v3 if Vayne had walked over and they had used the Diana ult to engage. I know they were low on health, so it is kind of hard, but those sorts of plays are the ones that they have to go for at this point to try to get back into this game, because they are just really struggling. They're losing objectives very, very, very quickly. Already 4 turrets, sorry, off the table very early in the game, and that's going to give the control to the Panda Republic over these sorts of objectives, like the Rift Herald, like the Dragon. They'll be able to pick these two up quite easily. And
You say that, Baulkham are not going to give up this Dragon at all. Not easily. They might be able to pick up a kill. If they can get this kill, that'll be a really good step forward for them. But they don't want to burn too much here, as they will chomp down here. But now they've got to be careful. They are down multiple ultimates. So just down the Urgot ultimate, I should say, which is a really, really important one, as the Dragon will be taken by Zeva. The fight now kicking off there. It looks like the Olaf is still holding the front line there. He doesn't go down. The Lulu is backing up there. It's looking ridiculous. What the hell is this going on there? Diana trying to turn the fight around, but it may not matter. Edison stuck on the front line. Edison will go down. Project running for his life will flash over the wall there, but I'm not sure it matters, because the axe does land. That undertow makes sure there is no getting away from the angry Viking, who slams the axes down on top of Diana's head.
That logically did make a bit of sense for Baulkham Hills. They'd found the pick on the set. They actually got the Dragon as well. So doing a really good job to kind of find that pick, get the overextensions punished, like I was kind of talking about. And then you want to fight that 4v5. This could be our ticket back in the game, but no. They're going to lose multiple members. This not taking into account how strong that Lulu is, how strong it is when you just ult that Olaf and he can take on multiple members, pretty much 2v5ing in that fight. Once he was altered, knocking up multiple members, and eventually the Cassiopeia and the Ezreal did come for that backup, but just so strong. That Lulu ultimate, the shields, the polymorph, just everything she does, the auto attack increases are so good on hit champions like Olaf, and just tore the entire team apart pretty much. Has all the healing as well.
Going in hard for the Ezreal. He does it, the Kingslayer heal. This could be enough, and smacks him down with the chains. Panda did not use flash.
Yeah, he's going to be taken down in that solo lane there. Just overextending a bit. That's the sort of thing, again, I'm talking about. They've had 2 opportunities and they've taken them both quite well, but at this stage in the game now, we are casting a high school tournament here at midnight. I don't want to promote gambling, but you do have to gamble a bit in these games when you're down. Try to take a situation that may not usually be something you want to go for, maybe a 60-40, let's say, and try to take that opportunity, because it might be just the best opportunity you have at some stages in the game, when pretty much in this sort of game, it's just going to keep spiraling out of control. If the game keeps naturally coming, they're going to push down those turrets, they're going to get the Baron eventually. You've got to flip something, you've got to take a chance, you have to gamble something to try to win that field of fight, and that's where that 4v5 may still have been pretty hard for them to take, but it might have just been their best chance they would get to come back in the game. So a good effort, but I'm going to go down now, and it is tough, but maybe a Baron steal or something can give them back into the game.
Yeah. It's not a great position for Baulkham Hills to be in, but there is still points where they can fight back, but they're in a rough situation. 10,000 or near to 10,000 gold is a state where a game of League of Legends is considered to be nearly irrecoverable. And you have to do things like ambushes here, as we're seeing Peraza and TLS do force the flash out of the top lane Panda, but they may lose their jungler. This chilling smite looks like it's more than enough there to run them down. Flash is not needed, but that is so much damage, and that wasn't even going for a kill. That was just, get out of my, this is my jungle now, not yours. Shoot.
Yeah, Vayne and Panth had to Romo to try to do something to save the Diner. He was going to live at least, but now the pressure from that is going to allow them to take the mid tier 2 and then the bot tier 2 as well. They're not able to rotate too quickly enough. Diner had to back. They just lose some control. Cassio's probably going to be able to auto this to death, but they're kind of leaving her for dry here. I could see Silas going in here. He's going to elect not to and just to clear the wave. But she at least won't get that turret. But now, the Rift Tower being dropped, they might just crack open the base with this one.
They should. I don't see the base surviving this one. The inhibitor turret will obviously fall. The inhibitor may fall. It depends on what Kingsgrove want to do. I know some teams will say leave it up, so you're not funneling gold in, but it looks like they are going to commit, get the second charge off, take the turret itself, and are they going to try and get... There's no way you can get Shelly to charge in the Nexus there, but I don't think they matter, as they're going to continue poking through mid. Top lane Panda's in a little bit of trouble there. Get slapped with the ultimate there, but a really good Haymaker does do enough to dissuade the engage. Petrify engage does not connect. TLS is being very, very cautious now as Quanta flashes in. Oh my lord, what is this attempt coming through there? They finally get down Wolfie. Their second death of the game, but may not matter as the slam dunk comes through. The Pantheon falls. Project tries to fight off Panda. They get some turret shots in, which is nice. The stopwatch, unfortunately, is buying only time as they will burn down to the miasma of the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, it's quoted from Darkman, you know, Zonya is a pretty good item, but, you know, sometimes it's just used to save your last few moments, not really actually used to do anything there, but he's still going to go down. 12k gold lead, closing in on the base. They're going to use the teleport from Set, I believe. Set.
Oh my god.
Might be Cassio, actually, sorry. Coming in, and they might just look to end the game.
Yeah, TLS once again, stopwatch just to buy time there. As their team fills in, this is the final fight in a way, as Panda is holding on the best that they can there, but will fall down. Ezreal doing it nice, but Edison is diving into the minion wave, but it's just not enough damage output. The oh my, Zephyr just lost all his health instantly! Falls down, and now looks like the Olaf is just healing more than it's hurting there. The Diana does not make the comeback, and this will be the game. Kingsgrove North not able to hold off there. They will fall down, and this Ezreal on Panda's hands has done phenomenal, bullying out their opponents in the bottom lane, taking control of this game and snowballing out of control as Quanta is trying to fight off the best they can, but it simply does not matter. The Ants go marching in one by one to try to fend off the minion wave, but the minions will be the ones to end the first game of the night.
Oh man, that is a tough one to swallow, isn't it? One of those games where it just got out of control really, really quickly. They snowballed the lead. Olaf doing really, really well. I'm gonna say Ezreal probably, just with some of those mechanics in some of those 2v2s, was just so fantastic on that pick. Using the aggressiveness of those Qs, of those Es to get in and do a lot of damage, and overall just having a really good performance.
And a really dominant area, because again, we talked about what the Kingsgrove early game should be. It should be the jungle Olaf doing a lot of getting pressure in the lanes, because you have a losing top lane, you have a mid laner who shouldn't be able to do anything for the early game, because Silas should be able to put out a bit of kill pressure, and then a bot lane that, in theory, needed to survive pressure from Edison's Vayne and, of course, Zephyr's Pantheon. But reality was very different, wasn't it? We saw the bottom lane, and I think this is the highlight for me, is the bottom lane of Kingsgrove denying the early level 2 engage, building up a massive minion wave, and continually just ramming that minion wave into the turret, getting poked down. Wolfie did a ton of damage down that bottom lane, where Zephyr basically felt like they could never engage, because if they did, they would die. So really, really phenomenal work. And speaking of that, let's take a quick look at this game's MVP, which is, surprise, surprise, going to be Panda in the bottom lane there. On this Ezreal, took control of the bottom lane there, basically gave his team a massive point of power, allowed the early dragon, hell, assisted with the double scuttle in the early game as well, and basically got Kingsgrove's slow early game off to a phenomenal lead, and at some point we saw them basically just charging 2v5 into fights.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where it comes back to draft a bit as well. I mean, when you put Vayne and Pantheon together, two champions that, sure, really good individual strength, and they are good with other champions, but when they're together, you know, Vayne kind of looking to scale, looking to go to that late game, looking to get to team fights. Pantheon looking to go in early, looking to snowball, looking to get ahead. Don't really fit together very well. So when you put them together, it's kind of not a very good lane, and at least Lulu and Ezreal, yes. It's not that optimal when you put Lulu with someone that isn't a hyper carry, but they're both really good at poking, both good at getting early lane presence, and they kind of just push the lane out because they have a bit more synergy than that Vayne and Pantheon. And overall, though, it was really well played by Panda and Wolfie to actually use the poke and know when to all in and when to go in as well. So they did a really good job of that. I thought Olaf was really, really good as well. He had a really good presence. That big team fight when he pretty much just 2v5'd was really awesome to see as well. So a really fantastic performance by multiple players. Just a really strong game overall, and a bit of a draft if as well, in my opinion, particularly in that bot lane.
That will put Kingsgrove sitting at a 5-2 record coming into the end of week number 7, which puts them in a good position to really start challenging the other teams in the higher ups. Remember, finals are not far away. Every single win here is absolutely critical coming in. So we'll have to keep an eye on this game and, of course, the future games, because we will be going to a short break. But when we come back, there will be the game from the Victorian and Tasmanian area of Division 1. That is going to be Melbourne High School facing up against McKinnon Secondary, guys. So please don't go anywhere, or at least don't go far. Maybe get some water, maybe get a snack, and come back in about 20 minutes or so, guys, when we have the second game of the night. We'll be kicking off then. We'll see you soon.